Hi, welcome back to part 2 of this week's e-lecture. So in this part of the e-lecture, we'll be covering just two major things. One will be that of a Dockerfile and the other one will be that of a Docker Compose. So this will be the contents. We'll just go through overview, or rather more of a summary of what we did the last lecture, and then I'll be running through what the Dockerfile is, how do we write them. We'll get through an example to write the Dockerfile together. And finally, to round off this week's e-lecture, we'll talk about what Docker Compose is, how can we start to manage various different Docker containers together. So firstly, we'll do a short little recap of what we covered so far. So in the first part of the lecture, from the last section, we talked about what images are. We talked about how we can download the images to our local machine, and the command to do that is by using a Docker pull followed by the container name. After that, we learned about how can we run the Docker container, or rather how can we run the image in a Docker container, and the command to use is Docker container run followed by the image name. And after that, we went through certain parameters that running a Docker container can take. So for example, we have a double dash name, which lets you specify the name of the container. We have the double dash network that lets you specify the name of the network you want the container to be on. We have the dash P, which allows you to specify the port mapping between your machine and the port in your Docker container. We have the dash D for detach, which means that you are going to run the entire line in the background. And the last parameter will then be your Docker image, followed by perhaps the tag, which is like the version number of the image that you are going to load. So that is the parameters for Docker run. Going next into Docker container ls, you use this command like the Linux ls command to find out what are the containers that are currently running. If you have a dash A at the back, it will show all the containers that are either running or have stopped. So in the life cycle of a container, you are able to start the container with Docker run. You are able to stop the container as well, which is the next command. And if you stop the container, it will not appear over here, it will appear over here. So if you have the ls, it only shows the containers that are running. If you have the ls-a, you have the containers both running and stopped. And if you want to remove containers, you do the container rm command. By itself, Docker container rm remove can only remove containers that have been stopped. If you want to remove containers that are running, you need to have the dash f command, and that will then remove the containers running or not running. After these commands, we also talked about how can we create our own Docker networks to be shared among different containers, and the command is Docker network create followed by the network name that you will be choosing. Once again, to find out the different networks that are on your Docker daemon, Docker engine, it will be Docker network ls. Finally, we have the Docker image ls, which shows the images that have been downloaded onto your local machine, and you can next do a Docker image rm to remove images that you may no longer require anymore. So this is the summary of all we have done so far, and the next thing we'll do, we'll go on to the Dockerfile.